Hello, everyone. This is Rebekah Freedom, and this is episode number 44 of Heard Not Seen, produced by John Beethan. Today, I'm recording on my iPhone, and the topic is, are our insecurities screwing up our relationships? Now, this is one that, you could poke around on the internet and find lots of different information on. And also, I want to say in sort of uncharacteristic like way, this is going to be an extremely short podcast. Thank you so much for the ones that have gone up to an hour where you've devoted your time to listen to it. But I really just want to get into this and make it a super quick one. There's going to be some bumps and clicks along the way, again, given this is recording on an iPhone. So now that we got that out of the way, you're seeing my insecurity about perfectionism. Like, I want things to be on fleek. I want them to be on point. I want there to be like crisp, clear audio. I want there to be beautiful bed sheets, a clean house, like this level of perfection. And I heard it said that if you are seeking perfection, you are going to be lonely because perfection does not have company. This simply means that our insecurities, the things that are built into insecurities is urgency. When we feel not enough, too much, unlovable, ugly, undesirable, or there's any lie present in our bodies that are making us feel separate from ourselves, we react to them. We react, and our reactions often perpetuate them in something called a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, if you're any sort of self-helper, this is not a shock. This is like Gabby Bernstein stuff. This is just like great to hear it, good to hear it again. I kind of already knew this. How do I really break through my insecurities? Let's just get down to brass tacks here. Insecurity, like security, right? Like we're seeking. It's ironic that it's like inside of me, I'm insecure because the inside of you is constantly evolving. It's a torrent of new emotion, and ever present, ever changing. So how do you know if insecurities are screwing up your relationship? Well, the first place insecurities will mess you up, will fuck you up, is the relationship you have with yourself. If you're single, the rush of insecurity comes in the form of loneliness whispering in your ear. And loneliness by itself is just inert. It doesn't have a real, who cares? Loneliness is just like a long period of being alone that you're getting kind of bored with. But it gets scary when loneliness starts scratching that itch of like, hey, you're going to be alone forever. You're going to die alone. You're never going to have another romantic relationship. Your sex life is never going to be what it wants it to be. You can't use your body how you want to use it. And essentially, it drills down to that part of us that feel like I can't be self-expressed. Like my survival instincts that I learned as a kid, like be the good little girl, hold place, like don't lean into the discomfort. Like wherever we're unwilling to lean into discomfort, that is an insecurity, right? We feel like we don't have the capacity. Actually, our skill set and our energy is going to go to survival, and survival looks a very particular way, sounds a particular way, and is a pattern in our lives. So, for example, one of my patternings that I know that I have, even as a counselor, like counselors are fucked up too. We're just people who have studied more and who can actually hopefully, help other people by the process of relating through objectivity, but also empathy. So that being said, my pattern that I have is come close, go away, which is an attachment disorder, which is I desperately want intimacy. And into me, I see a greater sense of like validation and connection that like I'm okay, who I am is okay, how I operate in the world is going to work for me. I'm going to be able to realize my desires. I have the strength and power to do so. And I really want that depth of connection and knowing inside myself. But what happens is like, it is vulnerable to take nothing and turn it into something, to be the conduit of creation. So we get a little shaky about like our ability to do it because we're like, oh my God, like, I have to earn money. How am I going to do that? I have to get a skill set. Well, how do I get a skill set? Oh my God, how much time is that going to take? Do I really have the time to do that? Am I going to be able to weather the storm? And then we have things happen to us, like failures, quote unquote. Basically, it's just like a moment to try again. But failures be like, no, you can't. See, you tried and you failed and it hurt. And now that you know it hurt, you shouldn't try that again. And then we build survival instincts around it. So basically, come close, go away happens to me when I like am with a partner and I begin to like really feel a sense of like connectedness to them. But internally, I'm always ready to run. I'm always ready to bolt at any given minute that they get too close to like my vulnerabilities, the parts of me that I haven't been able to let be fully self-expressed, to receive. Really, a lot of insecurities are based in our inability to receive the energy that we actually need that would heal us. So, for instance, like some of the fights I've had so far with my partner are around abandonment, like a sense of like him feeling like I'm going to leave at any given moment because he's picking up on that deep sense of me being like, I could leave at any moment, because if he gets close, if I start to rely on something and make it part of my reality, then I'm vulnerable to that thing leaving, and that thing leaving means I'm going to have to learn a whole new skill set. And we just don't like that. Our bodies don't like that. We're built for efficiency. Our bodies wire, the things that fire together wire together in our neural nets. And then we just want to be able to like have the experience of like habit. I got this. Well, there's this other thing called hedonic adaptation. When we have something that's new and exciting, we're like, oh my God, I love it. Because actually your endorphins, the neurotransmitters that are meant to be released to anesthetize pain in your body, are also released when you have a new experience. So there's this feeling of euphoria when we have new experiences. But if we had to relearn how to breathe every day, or if we had to relearn how to walk, to communicate, to remember, to pattern things, we could never write, we could never read, we could never like exact our intelligence in a way that helped us move forward and be conduits of evolution and creation. So our bodies map things so that we don't have to constantly relearn things and have this like dopamine dump. And when our bodies wire together a network of things after we've learned something, experienced something, through a series of repetition, right? Seeing the same face, like the same person that you're making love to over and over again, creates hedonic adaptation, where that thrill, that nuance is dropped off. And oftentimes we think to ourselves, something's wrong. Why don't the thrill is gone, like BB King style, like. And there is actually, the thrill isn't gone. It's actually a whole other cascade of neurotransmitters is going to rush in, oxytocin, and you're going to, or vasopressin for men, and you're going to start to have this sense of bondedness, which gives us a sense of continuity. And in that continuity, we feel like our insecurities are quelled. But insecurities are simply a biological insecurity is like a glitch in the matrix. It's essentially when a certain stimuli comes into the body, it touches that neural map of a time that there was a trauma or there was something that caused hurt. It signals the amygdala in the limbic system to stint off blood flow to the stomach and release cortisol, stress hormone, into the body to stop urination, to put blood into the arms. That's why our shoulders get so tense when we're stressed, because all those muscles are receiving more attention from our nervous system. And we, because our body, our musculature is getting ready to fight, to either fight or flight, to run. And so there's a tenseness in our muscles, because before tension is the precursor to release, right? When you're running, those muscles have to release a lot of ATP activity for us to be able to like change the situation. So biologically, the insecurities that develop, the discomfort that we feel, that we then, our frontal cortex makes meaning of like, I'm not good enough, I'm too much, I'm unlovable, some sort of storyline that gets paired with, this person said this to me, so this means something about me. It doesn't mean shit about you, okay? It means, and here is the crux of it. Things happen to us, experiences happen, and the most powerful thing we can choose is not what happens, but how we feel about it. Like the story we map in our minds about be a good girl. And here's the real fucking issue is that as we're born, as we're coming into this world, as our cognition and our consciousness is going from like this heavenly, oneness space into a space of separate bodies and separateness, we are still onboarding the skill set to be able to decipher another person's emotions and our own. We are enmeshed initially with our parents. We're resonant with them, the bodies that brought us into this world, and therefore we take on many of their thought patterns and behaviors, and then we react to the environment that was created for us as we grow up. We are these little attunement. Children are these little sponges. We say it all the time. They're sponges, and we're sponging things up. But then they turn into a fixed or frozen ego, meaning that there's a structure that gets created in the mind. The mind is something we can't really map just yet. Quantum physics is trying, but something in the mind, a thought pattern gets locked in the mind, which actually is concurrent to a biological networking of when I smell this smell, when I see this thing, when this person starts to behave in a way that is the disowned or bad self, the bad part of me, or the bad mother. Again, we have two sides of us, light and dark. We have the good self, the self that we want to portray to the world, the attractive, loving, benevolent self. And then we have the manipulative, malicious, vindictive, angry, like stoic self. We have both, and we're afraid of it. We're afraid of that like part of us that houses the hurt, if you want to say that. So simply the examination of, are your insecurities screwing up your relationship, comes down to how present can you be with your discomfort. We do so many things. There's so many coping mechanisms to say, like, I'm uncomfortable, which the biology of the body says, if you're uncomfortable, change something. Get out of there. Run. Fuck. Fight. Like, fight, flight, faint, fuck, or freeze. Excuse me. Those are your options. Like, be sexually dominant. Be aroused by and you have 5 seconds. You have 5 seconds between stimulus and meaning making. So this is where mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness is not this big thing. It's literally directing your attention at your breath at the end of your nose. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Where all of a sudden, breath goes from this automated response to a biofeedback where your mind then takes over the breath, and you can quicken it, slow it, and have dominion over it. And it's not just this sort of thing playing in the background. That is the crux of mindfulness. Sitting and giving full attention intentionally to your breath. Insecurities cannot exist in a place of mindfulness. You will catch, with that 5-second window, can feel like eons, because in that 5 seconds, you'll notice a sensation come up, and your body will then not have to react in the limbic system way, in the survival way. It will have a choice to map a different meaning, to have it go from the midbrain up into the higher brain and reorganize itself in a way that allows you to come to peace in that moment. The insecurities that screw us up are when we're in a relationship. Could I do better? This guy's great. He's got all these qualities. I definitely have listed them in my journal. I want it, but he's not rich enough. But he's not hot enough. But he weighs 10 pounds more. But it's like essentially what happens is when we get a partner, all the things we're like, I don't really like about them or I could do better, are just reflections of our own judgments. And judgments are where we cut ourselves off from greater awareness, where we're basically unwilling to unfreeze our ego patterns and our early survival mechanisms so that we can invite new experiences in. So the very thing you're afraid of is exactly what you need to lean into. That is your gold mine. All the areas you have discomfort, if you don't like to do the minutia, the tiny details, it's time to do details. If you find yourself scurrying about and you won't make your bed, it's time to stop and do one thing, make your bed. If you find yourself totally engrossed in over-analysis, the very thing you need to do is to lean into the analysis even more until the only way out is through. The way that you do that is that you have a dialogue with that part of you that is in analysis. You step back and you simply witness the part of you that is trying to deconstruct reality and make it make sense so that you can have some semblance of control. These are the seats of insecurities. To say they mess us up is simply to say they take us out of the present moment, the potency of who we be, and place us into old artifices of who we were or imaginings of who we might be, which is mostly just an escape hatch or mechanism because we're unwilling to feel the potency of our power and to be responsible, to take the awareness in that we can respond and will be okay in our response. So, with all of that said, I invite you to take a seat in this moment, to come into the power of meditation. It's not complicated. The simplest things are what set us free. It's in the simple moment of sipping your first cup of coffee and tasting the roast, thinking about the 76 hands. There's a Buddhist prayer that says, before they eat their rice, 76 hands brought me this rice. There's 76 hands that brought you that cup of coffee, the trucker that drove it, the forest in Peru that grew it, the people who picked the beans, that roasted the beans, that were in corporate America making sure that coffee had good marketing so it would come to you. So many hands have touched your coffee so that you could have that moment of waking up and to have that elation. And the only way that you can enjoy that and be fully present to the community that is in everything you do is to be able to be with your breath and to find that place of embodiment. When you are embodied, insecurities no longer exist because you recognize how fleeting the moment is. Just as the inhale comes in, so too the pause is at the top of it, and it will return to an exhale as the body does the purging of the CO2 and the inhaling of the oxygen, filling up the body, nourishing the cells, and releasing those byproducts of things that are no longer needed through the exhalation. Let this be the rhythm in your day, in your relationship, that when there is a conflict, there is a fight, that you just realize these are the byproducts of living. And you need to be able to not only inhale the sweetness, but to exhale these byproducts through communication, conversation, and identification of your insecurities. So as we close this podcast today, I ask that Spirit step in and use me as a sound piece. In the normal way it has, I have had the opportunity to speak in tongues. The Holy Ghost has moved through me, and currently what is showing up is my ability to weave spoken word. So let us join together in this moment of reverence. As I am saying the words that come through me, I invite you to bring your full attention to the breath at the tip of your nose and notice exactly how potent you are when you are in the present moment. This is the present moment, as if someone has told us that there were any prize greater than being able to realize our potency when we just take a breath and inhale. All hail Caesar, let him have his due. I'll wake in the morning and I will give to you my time to earn my keep. But the things I earn will not keep me from exhaling that which no longer needs me, because the fact of the matter is sometimes I spend time chasing after the approval of others like it was my God. The validation that comes to me is something that I bow to because I've made it mean more to me than me. Because the reality is oftentimes we stop and we have these small cries for help. We feel lost and we do things like create more distress in our life, more strife, hoping that someone will notice, that someone will say, "Baby, you're a 1,000-petal lotus. I see you unfold and you are fragrant and beautiful roots in the mud." And we say to them, "Yeah, but can I still be loved?" And we stop and pause at the reflection in the mirror of others that appear in our lives, judging them all the while, wondering what's behind their Cheshire cat smile. What yellow brick road are you leading me down? Only to find out that we're the wizards, and that is profound. So dig deep into your insecurity and breathe and set it free. This has been Rebekah Freedom. Thank you so much for listening to Heard Not Seen. I encourage you to share it if it touches you. If you want a greater depth of freedom in your life and to be in the unfolding and to be guided, truly guided by divine source, let me be that channel for you to facilitate the vision of who you want to be, to take you from that locked place of insecurity and give you the key so you can turn it and truly live freedom. Reach out to me. If this is something you want, reach out to me at RebekahFreedom.com. That's REBEKAH freedom.com. Be well. Thank you for listening, and be set free.